Hello, uh, greetings. Welcome to my third video I'm making on the blended path, and I'm calling this one The Dream because again, I'm working from notes, so you'll see me looking at those. But a few weeks ago, one night, it was around the time I was sharing with some friends on the Cartomancy forum about some of my anxieties about mixing religious beliefs and spiritual practices, mostly because of church friends, family. I had a little fiasco on Facebook with a few friends that were less than tolerant of some of my new ideas. And about that time, I had three crystal clear dream sequences in the night. Here's what they were, and here's what I think they meant. The first sequence, I was waiting for my car to have some work done on it at a full service gas station. And I was just feeling a low grade anxiety about getting the car fixed. And later I felt this scene represented my spiritual expansion and the concern with the changes, thinking that the vehicle kind of represents identity and roles in life. The second dream sequence, I was riding in the passenger seat of a car. It was being driven by a friend of mine who has a car business and who is a part-time pastor. The car was just bouncing crazily down the road, a long road to his house, and this scene repeated 3 or 4 times, very clear and lucid. And I believe the repeating was just to show its importance, probably meaning I'm not feeling in control or in the driver's seat, and I'm not coming home, not having that feeling of coming home, but rather going to someone else's spiritual place. And the third dream sequence was maybe even more revealing. And I was actually watching from outside of my car as it hit the pole edge of a chain link fence. And as it hit, the car split exactly from front to back, half down the middle, just split exactly cleanly in half. And I believe this scene represents my fear of division as being fractured as groups and groups and identities are defined by their borders, and a lot of times both sides maintain the fence, and so I believe this was just highlighting those fears and anxieties. So, doing a daily draw from the mystical shaman oracle, I drew 3 cards and posted them at the. Oh, I dropped one. And posted these at the Cartomancy forum. And here's what they were and how I interpreted those. The first card was the circle. And this card reminded me that we are all connected, just as you can see all these multi-ethnic handprints in the circle. And that even when we belong to different political parties or religions, we need that unity in diversity. We need healthy, loving differences. And this serves everyone. So that was very comforting. The next one, not as much. The coyote reminded me of the trickster character, like Bugs Bunny, who likes to bring puzzles and riddles and deceptions. But these tricky situations, I was reminded, are a part of life and a part of our um, development too. And the dreams were kind of uh, that kind of message. The last card I drew was the Hunter. And this card reminded me of the spirit of the master tracker who finds divine footprints, footprints in the sand, um, and follows the signs of spirit to solve mysteries. The hunter, the master tracker. So those cards felt very on target, very spot on. And uh, thinking about this, at present, I kind of see three possibilities um, in spiritual growth or transformation. And that's conversion, just changing from one belief to another, a combination, which would be doing two complete and whole systems or belief structures or practices at the same time, simultaneously, kind of juggling. Or the third one, synthesis. So let me just describe those before closing. Just converting. Conversion seems to be the most common, going from one belief structure to another. Of course, the advantages of converting to something new, it holds promise for a secure, like-minded community, a stable identity. However, the disadvantage is that the adherent must divorce from the previous life or the previous beliefs, maybe even people. For example, a Muslim who becomes an atheist may renounce and scorn the previous beliefs. It also may be easier to go to extremes rather than to hold a nuanced view. That yes, there is empirical naturalism involved in life that the atheist sees. Well, there's also some mysteries that the religious might see, and we see this going to extremes often when people quit something like drinking or smoking. The old habit becomes demonized, and others who still maintain those habits are maybe ostracized, and when it might be better to just focus on the self and make allowances for others who may have different lifestyles. And I know when I was 30 years old, I quit drinking about 27 years ago. And at that time, I was able to still maintain friendships with old drinking buddies and still joke about the bad old days and not so much judge others, just know that that's not for me. And I think that's maybe a healthier approach. But as I have been expanding spiritually, I found that I have to resist the urge. Sometimes the urge comes to renounce that previous state or react against those who are not also expanding, and to change rather than just to expand and still be accepting and understanding of my previous more rigid beliefs. So that's conversion. The combination to me means using two complete practices or beliefs simultaneously. For example, going to the Jewish temple on Saturday and the Christian church on Sunday. And to me, that has the possibility to bring cognitive dissonance within oneself, or even bringing criticism from both of those cohesive groups who maintain the barriers. I recently watched a YouTube video posted by a witch who was discussing her coven's discomfort if Christians would come to attend a circle, and it's a case in point. Interestingly, she also mentioned a time when many thought being a witch alone was not possible, or being a solitary witch, and I think that's more commonly seen today. So maybe these things change in acceptability. The final option is synthesis, sometimes called syncretism, and several beliefs or practices, in this case, would be more organically blended. So they would be integrated in one person or group or society, and perhaps even more than just coexisting, but working together and influencing each other. And this synthesis might also be frowned upon by groups who want to see themselves as pure or exclusive. And I think, though, where possible, this approach might bring peace to an individual or groups that coexist within a culture. My idea is that this synthesis would support coexisting beliefs in the world as well as in the self. Just as the left and the right brain are always working together, conservatives and liberals have to work together, people of science and people of faith. Dissent is probably always helpful, and multiple perspectives always useful. So in conclusion, we are all interconnected, and learning involves questions to be answered, a dialectic to struggle through, a process to experience, puzzles to be solved. So I'm sure there's a place for the groups that maintain borders, and there's concern with cultural appropriation, and sometimes the blending can be inappropriate. So it's a dialogue and something to think through. But I think the blending, of course, is what I'm experiencing now, and I hope to post more videos soon. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.